Hello everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Candy Hough, and every week I have a Facebook Live TV show called Views from My Balcony. And many of my viewers, the people who watch my show, have asked me if I would put my Views from My Balcony programs onto YouTube, and therefore they can watch the replays and find them more easily. So here I am. For those who may not know me, once again, my name is Candy Hough, and I am a two-time #1 international best-selling author. My books, which are published, are One True Home, Behind the Veil of Forgetfulness. This is about my 5 most important past lives as I grew the most spiritually, and what the heck I did in heaven between those incarnations. And the sequel to that book is the true story of my angelic walk-in experience. I am an angelic walk-in, the autobiography of Angel Ariel, as I, Angel Ariel, walked into Claire Candy's body on January 11th of 2003. Both of those books are available as audiobooks on Audible, on audible.com, and third published book is Angels of Faith, based on my 2 near-death experiences and how we are divine and we do not die. So they all can be purchased on Amazon and also on my website, which is angelhealinghouse.com. Just briefly, I'm a Reiki master teacher. I've attuned countless master teachers around the world. I've also created communities of light in Australia, on the Sunshine Coast, in Queensland, Australia, outside of Sydney, in Wollongong, Australia, and also in the United States, in Monterey Bay, in California, Santa Barbara, California, and for the last 10 years in Los Angeles, California. I met and married my twin flame, my beloved Pete, almost 17 years ago now, and I talk about and share the miraculous way that God Creator brought us together in this book, I Am an Angelic Walk-In. We met on a Saturday, and 5 days later, he asked to marry me. 2 months after that, we were married on the beach in Noosa Heads, Queensland, Australia. You will hear me referencing my angelic family, the Posse of Angels, who I am part of. We are a group that is 537 strong, and that number is significant. And it holds a vibration of number 5 is the number that challenges and seeks to challenge and perhaps change people's views of just what is possible. Number 3 is the number of miracles, as wherever 2 or more are gathered in the Creator's name, miracles happen. And number 7 is doing the work of the divine. When you combine all of that, we are the Posse of Angels. So let us get into this week's very powerful message. The first thing that myself and the Posse of Angels wish to address is that if you are feeling overwhelmed in these unprecedented times, is to really check, where are you putting your attention? In last week's program, we shared that it is vitally important to spend 75 to 80% of your time focused on that which gives you absolute joy. Watch funny movies, laugh, create something that you're passionate about, connect with friends. And we stress the importance of sensing, of touching, of feeling, of tasting God's handiwork in nature, because nature is pure truth. Nature is integrous. And we feel better when we're in nature, because that's what our divine eternal nature is also, integrous and pure truth. Now, the other 25% of our time can be spent in passing around information around on social media. researching and verifying information, going down the rabbit hole and finding out more and more information. It's no good. It doesn't matter how love and light we are, if we are not knowledgeable of what has been going on, then we can't fully appreciate the contrast in the world. But if you have been overwhelmed, you might be surprised on where you are focusing the majority of your attention. Is it external, or is it fostering your joy and your divine eternal nature, as we are all divine? At this unprecedented time in our planet's evolution, we are experiencing the deconstructing of timelines of the past. And the reason that this is happening is because those timelines, they no longer are in resonance with our increased energetic frequencies as we are moving into higher states of consciousness to build new timelines that reflect a new humane ways of living for everyone on planet Earth, and not just a small percentage. It has given us a time to step back and to truly reassess our lives and what is of most importance to us. Because of our raised consciousness, many are experiencing the Great Awakening. We can clearly see the disclosures and the revelations about the dark, corrupt, evil agenda that kidnapped, controlled, and manipulated our world. As a result of raising of our consciousness, old binds, old oaths, old vows, karmic contracts, which were made in previous incarnations, are now able to be released as they no longer serve us, as we anchor in the new energies of the golden age of truth. For instance, codependent relationships and karmic loops of being a victim in this and previous lifetimes may have been agreed to in order for someone or ourselves to learn our lessons, but they are now being able to be dismantled because we are ascending beyond role-playing, which suited us when we didn't have access to our full divine sovereign power or our full consciousness. These old contracts, which we all fully accepted, that we would sign on the dotted line, we would sign on the dotted line as to these contracts that we signed into. They acted as a barrier to intimacy, and they distorted the perfect balance of the masculine and feminine templates. As sovereign, powerful beings, we have evolved beyond those old contracts, and they are being negated and no longer energetically hold any resonance with who we have become. Now, if you need some assistance on releasing those old contracts, I just did a YouTube meditation video on releasing of old oaths, binds, bonds, vows, and karmic contracts. And you can find this on my YouTube channel. Now, astrologically, at this time that I'm videoing this, we are all under the energies of a Venus retrograde that began on May 13th. And as a result, we are experiencing and receiving new cycles of relationships that will be healthy and fully healed. And they're solely based on unconditional love. No more game playing. Hallelujah. I'm sure there are so many who are watching this that can relate to this, because when we were writing our contracts across the veil, we wrote, I'm sure that there are many people that can relate to this. We might have written, I will play the victim and you can control me. And then we will learn in contrast. Or I will be abused and you will abuse me. And therefore we will both learn our lessons. Well, the Posse of Angels is sharing that what it feels like now is that we have been given a new heart, which functions very differently because we can easily leave behind things like fear and worry, because our new hearts are not in resonance with the programming of our old hearts, which were actually programmed for suffering and self-destruction. That is why so many of us chose destructive, abusive, cruel partners and spouses. Think about it. Our intuition told us that there was something which was not quite right about that person, but we stepped forward anyway, and believe me, we rued the day that we ever got involved with them. That is why we got involved in business partnerships, relationships, and we knew there was something about it, that this person was questionable or shady characters, and it resulted in stealing of money or broken contracts or ruin for many of us. How about the programming of self-destruction and our choices as to smoking, gambling, over-shopping, overconsumption of alcohol, drug abuse, sex addictions? These were all outcomes of being programmed for self-destruction. Our new hearts resonate with and only accept joy, love, and rapture. Now, just a side note here that over the last week, I've heard from many people who had ascension symptoms of the throbbing of the third eye and also of, pressure in the head. But along with that, there was this feeling of being extremely hot, and many experienced a feeling of burning up. And the Posse of Angels and I wish to share with you that this was burning away any of those programmed default energies of suffering, self-destruction, fear, and worry. Venus in retrograde is asking us to spend some time processing all of her attributes, which are love, harmony, relationships, and our relationship around money. Start assessing them with our new hearts in order to rebirth those areas anew that might have been compromised before when we were operating under old programming. Now, another astrological energy we have affecting us is today's Gemini new moon, today being May 22nd, and its attributes are clarity and truth. And aren't we seeing so much truth being brought to light? With the great awakening happening on the planet, we are seeing the fulfillment. We are seeing the fulfillment of the prophecy of a new age, and it's being birthed in truth, in peace, and prosperity for all. Also, with the Gemini being the sign of the twins, this is a time where our divine feminine and masculine templates are balancing out. We are removing lifetime upon lifetime of everything that was blocking our connection to divine source. How good does that feel? This is a time when we are opening to receive a new life of peace and to be able to fully connect to our evolved higher consciousness and our DNA strands no longer controlled and manipulated by a dark agenda's technology. While we watch and witness so many dark, corrupt structures and systems crumbling in our external world, the Posse of Angels wish to reiterate from last week's show that this time is occurring not because of any outside savior come to save us, but an internal shift in our consciousness. And it's increasing our light quotient within that is then exposing darkness externally. This time of revelation or apocalyptic upheaval happens right before change is going to occur. We can see it. The worse it seems to be just means that more and more light is building up on the planet. So in this time, we wish for you to know that the apocalypse that we are seeing and that is happening in front of us is in fact a beautiful thing, because it means we have already crossed the turning point. The tide has turned and we are at the moment of truth. It's happening because our hijacked perceptions are now clear enough to see the light of humanity, love, unity, compassion being formed out of those crumbling ashes. Just like every hero who has ever had the courage to adventure into the depths of the unknown, it's not the apocalypse itself that is a concern, but it was the build-up toward it that was so freaking scary, And it took unbelievable bravery to keep going on the journey. Now, I want you to think back over the landscape of your life and about what you experienced to get to this point of the apocalypse that we are seeing. Think about those who have gone through divorce, discovering betrayal in love, and maybe deceit and theft in your business, financial hardships. How about being estranged by your children, poisoned by your exes? Maybe it was physically, but certainly emotionally. Being loved and having a loved one cross over and experiencing that immense grief. Those that have gone through illnesses and crises of faith. Think about all the things that you have conquered to be now filled with so much love, forgiveness, and light that you are able to witness and simply stand in your truth and observe the great apocalypse of the dismantling of the dark in order to build a fresh, clean foundation of truth and of light. Now, the Posse of Angels and I are saying you should be so proud of yourself. As the Posse of Angels and I have shared before, the isolation has given many of us many blessings, for it has given us a time to become aware of the things that we gave our attention and focus to before lockdown, and some of those things may have not been in our best interests. For instance, many people have become aware of where they were spending their money. Perhaps they were eating fast food all the time. Perhaps they were eating at restaurants, and instead of having a balance of sometimes cooking at home. Others have become aware of how much time they spent shopping in malls, online, buying things that they didn't need. And others have become acutely aware of all the stuff in their homes that they accumulated, and they have been cutting down, purging, and clearing out what they did not need anymore or didn't use. This urge to get rid of things runs at a much deeper level than just cleaning out a closet or two. Because our physical bodies are ascending, they are divining back to our restored DNA strands, which are no longer diminished and limited by the dark agenda's technology. Our crystalline bodies are now reflecting much lighter, less dense energies, and the more stuff we have, the more we feel weighed down. Now, the Posse of Angels is sharing that with the collective of humanity becoming freed and liberated, each of us must go through a deep rite of passage to rediscover and find our way back to who we divinely are and reawaken to our identity in the ultimate connection to Source. And we need to do this without any attachment to any community, to any group, to any society, and even an attachment to the collective. The Posse of Angels is sharing that each of us needs to go within and review what we deem to be of greatest importance in our lives. at this point of witnessing and observing the playing out of the apocalypse around us. It's vitally important for each of us to go within and only accept and engage with what is truth and does no harm. This is why it's important to stress the positive in all that is happening and not to give our power away to blame. I've been asked, how do we go beyond the horror and the rage in order to heal and rebuild a world anew? Well, the Posse of Angels is not pulling any punches, and they're assuring us that one of the best important things that we can do is to use our newly restored divine sovereign power to change and alchemize the energies of what we are choosing to blame and perhaps demonize in our external world. Whether that is rage over the lockdown, it's hatred for the politicians, the police, the governors, the lying doctors or scientists who manipulated numbers or others, and it really doesn't matter who they are, for all this focus is centering on blame for our feelings of hurt and sorrow, when it is we and only ourselves who can make us feel hurt, sorrow, betrayed, or anything else. That's how powerful we truly are. Perhaps that is why the very powerful statement, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." I have spoken before about the dark not having functioning hearts when it comes to love and light and connection from source. By fully understanding that what we are seeing played out in reality is only a reflection of what we all need to experience on a soul level as a higher teacher, and see if we can still hold unconditional love, forgiveness, compassion, and peace within when we see these horrifying and horrific evil deeds. For 16 years, I attuned many Reiki Master teachers, and I reminded them that it is very easy to love someone who is loving towards you, but it's rather more difficult to love and forgive when you see these horrific deeds, and to have compassion for someone who attacks you and may go against all that you believe in. To begin to find peace within during these days, one must get to the stage where one can thank the deep, dark agenda for their contrast, in whatever form it appears, because it's allowing us to clearly see the contrast so that we can disidentify our attachment and our hurt and rage to it. And we can acknowledge it for being a great master teacher for each of us. Once we no longer lay blame and we accept full responsibility for whatever we choose to demonize that has appeared in our reality, we can begin to absolve anyone or anything and its energies, and something miraculous happens. It begins to disappear because it has no hold on us. We loosen the stranglehold and the focus of our energies. And by doing so, we liberate ourselves and we no longer feed that which we do not want to grow. The drama, the pain, the suffering, the irritation, the blame will all disappear. The Posse of Angels wish for us to know that it is our consciousness and not what we see in our external world that will determine the outcome of what we will experience. And that's just how powerful each and every one of us is. In addition, the Posse of Angels and I are reminding you to stop identifying with your loved one's hurts, angers, and sorrows, as this was old programming of saving and enabling others, and was one that saw us suffering alongside of them. The saying, "misery loves company," was a perfect expression for this programming. Empathy for and towards another person, don't get us wrong, is very, very important. But if we put our time, our effort, and our energy in trying to change anyone and make them believe what we believe, we are willingly diminishing and diverting our energies away from our joy, our rapture, and our bliss. By trying to change someone's beliefs, our energies actually become entangled with theirs, allowing our energies to be lowered, drained, and diminished, which then compromises our full expression of who we divinely are. Everyone who is awakened and conscious on planet Earth, the way showers, the light workers, the star seeds, the walk-ins, and all enlightened beings need to get themselves into a state where their thoughts and their emotions are balanced, and we experience ease and inner peace no matter what is going on in our external world. We achieve this state of coherence by going within and reconnecting with our sovereign, powerful divinity. And it is our energies and only our energies within that will manifest the outcome of that which we really wish to experience externally. By taking full responsibility for the way we act and feel, for what we are seeing externally, then we blame no one and can find our way back to living in a state of grace. As we adjust more and more to these timelines shifting to be more in resonance with a world of truth, of peace and equality, we will stay within our human form. Many people have asked me, will we then be out of our bodies? But no, we will stay in our human form with our restored DNA strands. Our crystalline bodies will also function on a non-functional level or as multidimensional spirits at the same time that we are in our crystalline bodies. Like the Posse of Angels I mentioned previously, those who are experiencing being in their bodies and then momentarily feel as if they are out of their physical body and then they're drawn back in. These are seeing signs of not being hooked into the old manipulated controlled matrix, as we no longer are energetically attached to it and it doesn't affect us adversely. Also, what is being played out in the world no longer triggers us. We are not reactive to it, and it loses its pull on our energies. As mentioned before, we are now solely the observers, bearing witness to the great awakening. The apocalypse that is dismantling and demolishing an out-of-date system no longer is in resonance with a collective of higher consciousness which has evolved on our beautiful planet Earth. Thanks everyone for watching. Do stay tuned for more of my YouTube videos, which I will be putting out. And do remember that I have a Facebook Live TV show, Views from My Balcony, which the Posse of Angels and I bring forth channeled messages on relevant information to the collective. And we do this weekly, every Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you would like to get in contact with me for intuitive counseling, for channeled angel readings, for distant healing, which can be done, and all my sessions can be done over FaceTime, over Skype, over phone, please do call me at Angel Healing House, my business, which is 831-277-3716. You can always email me at Candy, C-A-N-D-Y, at angelhealinghouse.com. And of course, my business website is angelhealinghouse.com. I'm sending you so much love, and as always, angel blessings. And go out and fashion an absolutely beautiful life for yourself. Take care, everyone, and I look forward to speaking with you again next week. Bye.